With Occupy protests from Los Angeles to Baltimore being shut down by police, the Occupy DC movement is fast running out of friends. Police emptied Occupy sites in Boston and Baltimore last week, leaving DC the oldest and most prominent of the protests, just 2 blocks from the White House. So how has Occupy DC survived where so many others have failed? The DC movement pitched its tents in McPherson Square on October 6 as part of a growing international movement that began with Occupy Wall Street in New York. The sit-ins have attracted attention around the globe. According to the Global Language Monitor, the term Occupy was the most commonly used word in media in 2011. The trend has also had a tremendous effect on popular culture.
Tom, I'm reporting from the middle of a protest where 2 fourth-grade students are fed up and have decided to occupy Red Robin.
While the Occupy movement is famously criticised for lacking a clear message, most of the anger is focused on what they call the 1%.
So don't be deceived, my fellow Americans. We know what we're here for. We know what we're here for. To their own demise, the elites mock us.
It takes that. It takes shaking up of the system a little bit.
Until 2 months ago, Daryl Smith had a comfortable job conducting political surveys. But like many of the protesters in the square, Daryl's new job is occupying.
So when I was living in Wheaton, and after I lost my job, I said, well, here I am, here's my occupation.
The success comes down partly to the organisation of the camp. Inside what looks like a clumsy collection of tents, there's a kitchen, a library, and an information booth with a rundown of the day's activities. There's also a team of first aid trained medics on site.
I need a medic!
I need a medic!
ASAP!
Medic at the information booth!
Thank you, medic!
According to its website, Occupy DC has also collected over $9,000 in donations, some of which goes to paying fines to have charges against protesters dropped. The movement has also set up a hotline occupiers can call for legal advice.
And we've, I think, done a pretty good job, those of us working with the legal team, in communicating with the authorities.
Jeffrey Light runs legal awareness sessions in McPherson to prepare protesters for rallies. Last month he helped secure an injunction to stop the park police from evicting the occupiers, unless in an emergency.
The park police don't have to follow these DC laws, but in general they've taken a fairly hands-off approach.
Park police bylaws forbid camping on the site, but are allowing the protests to continue under First Amendment rights. Jeffrey says, unlike cities like Baltimore, protests are a pretty familiar sight in the district.
Well, I think part of it is that they're used to seeing a lot of protests in DC, and so the police and the authorities don't get quite as nervous. Maybe happens in some other cities.
The injunction expires on January 31. For all the rhetoric about fighting for the 99%, however, they haven't impressed everyone. Joe Bellows was assaulted on Friday by occupiers for holding up a sign that read, "Get a job." Others have also taken up the cause.
Refugees because there are bastards.
And you think Egypt's going to end up with a true democracy?
Who cares if we... It's their own country. Let them do what they want to do.
And the camp's location in the heart of the K Street lobbying district has also ruffled some feathers.
And people were kicking my tent at night and trying, yelling, "We're the 1%," in their Benzes and their Ferraris and their Lamborghinis.
Many of the protesters told me they do have homes to return to if and when the protesters moved on. Some, however, aren't so lucky.
You know, if this probably wasn't here, I'd be a lot worse off. They keep you right on the edge of homelessness. You're like a rat in a aquarium filled with water. You're constantly swimming, keeping your nose above water.
With deep winter approaching, the prospect of a snowed-in campsite is getting closer by the day.
I mean, when it gets below 20 degrees, you're a human being.
That could require occupiers to work in shifts day and night to shovel away the snow. Getting any sleep, however, is another thing. But whatever the response by police, the winter winds are sure to send the fair weather occupiers home. From McPherson Square in Washington, I'm Robert Baird for Inside the Shell.